Hi, my name is Shaquaya Brown.
What is your leadership style? Can you give a few examples of this in action?
My leadership style would be the democratic leadership style. I like to get myself and my staff together and feed off of each other. For example, during team meetings, we do team building where everybody is inclusive in their answers and participation. I take the ideas of my coworkers and my teammates, and we put it together for the best result for patient care.
Tell me a time when you face conflict or disagree with a coworker or leader.
I've had several times like this. One of those include one time I was doing a leadership where we had to train employees who were medical assistants on how to open up an oxygen tank. During this time, there was a fellow teammate, RN lead, who didn't like my style of teaching. So while I was trying to teach, she tried to overshadow and overtalk me. So I proceeded to allow her to speak, and then I told her, I agree with what you're saying, but in addition to, and then I taught my way, and then let the students decide which way was easier for them without any conflict.
Tell me a time when you were faced with a problem and successfully solved it.
One time that I had a patient come into the clinic and they brought in a weapon. During this time, initially, I didn't know that the patient brought in a weapon. They were very irate and demanded to see a certain provider. I diffused the situation, spoke with the provider. We were able to address their needs. Once it was time to discharge the patient kept telling me to grab his bag. And I do have history with this patient, so I did know that he was a former police officer. And at this time, the patient kept questioning me to pick up the bag, you'll love what you see. Once he kept doing it, I found it kind of offensive. So then I asked him if he could pick it up himself. I then pressed the panic button on my computer and alerted security. And once security came up, they spoke with the patient and grabbed the bag, in which they found it was indeed a weapon inside, which was a gun.
Tell me a time you faced a staffing shortage, either from a leadership or employee situation. What were your actions related to being understaffed?
As an employee on the nursing floor, I faced several challenges and shortages. This is not new in the medical field. Oftentimes people call out burnout, or we just indeed don't have enough staff for the patient ratio. I always say, roll up my sleeves and go with a plan, prioritizing which patients need to be seen first, speaking with my teammates as we work together so that it can be done appropriately, and we can use the skills that we have with the resources that we have as well. I was able to delegate certain things that were not needed from licensed personnel, and this helped the shift go faster.
What is your strategy to retain employees and maintain morale on the unit?
My strategy to maintaining employees is to first make sure that they're happy. A happy employee will sacrifice and be a team even if things aren't always perfect. So some of the things I do are incentives. If you notice that you have teammates that go above and beyond, give them incentives like gift cards, coffee. Everyone loves food. So that's some of the things that I like to do. I also give kudos, like verbally. Good job, such and such today. You were very good at XYZ. Thank you so much for helping me. And I'm not above the program. I feel like if my team or I'm a leader, the people under me need help, I have no problem jumping in and assisting them as well.
How do you offer feedback to employees?
I offer feedback in a proactive way. So I usually, if there's something that I notice that can be changed, I honestly look at it from a perspective as if I were the person who did it and how I would want to be spoken to. For an example, I've had a employee that I had to write up because they kept coming into work unprofessionally dressed. At my younger age, I didn't understand professional versus unprofessional dressing. So I did speak with the employee and explain to her, I've been in this situation. Here are some things that you can use to help. I use myself as an example because when you're relatable, it comes across of more of a understanding of ways to educate yourself and others as well.
Give an example of how you embrace cultural differences and diversity in your team.
Well, with the cultural differences, how I embrace it is I try to learn about different cultures so that my knowledge base is good. That way, when I'm faced with cultures that I'm not used to seeing or having much contact with, it doesn't take me by surprise. So if I, for example, have a patient who is Muslim and I don't know much about Muslims, then I would go do the research so that I can not offend them and I can cater to the things that they believe in, not necessarily showing that I believe in it, but respect what they find valuable.
How would you approach an underperforming employee?
For my underperforming employees, I will meet with them. I will ask them, is there some things that they're struggling with? Is there some things that I can help with? Let them know what I've noticed. Give them some key pointers of this may help you do this better. If needed, I can also pair them with a staff member if they need help, ones that I trust that won't be mean or judgy, just so that they can shadow and kind of get the ropes. I feel like with training, that's the best way to adhere to the things that you're supposed to do. I like to also pass out informative information. So if it's something that I feel like we can all benefit from or someone is lacking, I like to get something in writing so that you can have steps and you can use it as a reference to go back to.
How would you approach an angry client?
For an angry client, I'll first try to diffuse the situation by calming them down. Also, I want to listen to their concerns because a lot of the times if they're angry, it's because they're passionate about something and they really have questions about or emotionally tied to the things that they're speaking about. So I would like to address the client's needs and listen to them and then perform some type of action, come up with a plan together so that the situation is diffused.
How do you commit to professional development? Provide an example.
I commit to professional development by continuing my education. I feel like no matter what degree I have, no matter how much experience I have, that I'm always open to learning. When you place yourself in a bubble and think that you have no further need of learning, then I feel like you do yourself a disservice because things are forever changing in the health field. So I commit myself by continuing my education.
What would you do if you were presented with a process improvement project with ambiguous directions?
With ambiguous directions from a process improvement project, I will go step by step, allowing myself time to reorientate, educate, and try to figure out proper delegation if needed on how we can perform this project, ensure that I have the proper amount of staff members or teammates, and see who's good at what and put them in positions to win, and use the resources that we have. If you have someone that's good at counting, you may want to put them with numbers or dosages or things like that, and use it as an open forum so that we can collectively come together for the project.